Des, what would you give Avatar Fire and Ash out of 10?
I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. I didn't have a great experience watching this film, but I enjoyed the lead performances from Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldaña a lot. And I also really liked Una Chaplin as Varang and Stephen Lang as Quaritch. These four actors' performances were significantly better than the actual material they were dealing with. I have enjoyed all the Avatar movies in the past, but ultimately I wasn't gagged over this one because it did not show me anything on a technical level that I hadn't really seen before. However, this film did have one of my favorite cinema moments of the year, which was seeing Awa. That did make me gasp quite a bit. So I'll give it that. Other than that, not much to talk about in this film. What about you? What would you give Avatar Fire and Ash out of 10?
I want to give it a 0 out of 10. Honestly, it was my least favorite. It was the worst thing I watched in the past 12 months.
Oh my God.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Hold on. You're saying it was worse than Die My Love?
Yes. Yes.
So you'd rather watch Die My Love again than watch Avatar?
Absolutely. At least it's less time. You know, there's less time to suffer.
You can probably watch Die My Love 2 times and you'll still be watching Avatar.
Exactly. Right? Now, look, I want to give it a 0. I won't give it a 0. And the reason why is because I understand that there were thousands of artisans and creatives and technical people who had the misfortune of working under James Cameron. So, you know, I have to give them some credit. And look, as much as I wasn't that gagged by the visuals, I won't lie, it's still better than most animated movies, right? So I have to give credit for that. Also, one of those points goes to Una Chaplin, who plays Varang. I was mesmerized by her. She was my favorite performance. I felt like she was the only person who was fully physically acting with her whole body, the whole walk, the way how she speaks, her facial expressions. She was by far my favorite performer.
And her character design is cool as well.
Yeah, her character design was really cool. I wasn't mad at the character as well, so I'll give them that. But yeah, I don't care about the story. I think it's patronizing. I think it's condescending. I don't think there's anything interesting in here. It feels preachy. It somehow wants to tell Indigenous people that you need to fight for your land more, as if they didn't know that, as if there isn't a strong history of Indigenous people fighting back. But at the same time, it also wants to tell Indigenous people that actually you're racist if you don't like your oppressors. So that's an interesting one. I'm sick of the fetishization of the Navi women. There just isn't much I can say to be positive about this film, and so I can't give it any more than a 4 out of 10. I'm tired of the series. It needs to be wrapped up. Somehow, it's so dense, and James Cameron thinks it needs to go on for almost 4 hours, and yet it's so empty. I really don't know how a film can be this dense and so empty.
I have a very important thing that I forgot to add, which is that Spider is one of the most despicable characters I have seen in fiction this last year. This film would have immediately gained 2 additional points without changing anything else if you just completely remove that character from the plots. We don't ever need to see a character like that in the modern day, in the 21st century again. Let's leave it alone. The dreadlocks, no. The kuru growing, no. The irritated behavior, no. The quote-unquote moral debates about whether or not you should save him, when it's actually quite a straightforward, simple situation. Too much, like just no. That character, everything about it, and James Cameron's self-insert, it should never repeat itself again. But unfortunately, it will.
Yeah, it will, twice. You can't make a quote-unquote anti-colonial film that is ultimately centering the coloniser's son and condemns anyone who doesn't accept him, and ultimately ends with the happy ending, quote-unquote, of the coloniser's son being accepted. Bear in mind, that means almost certainly that they've now put a massive target on their back and they will not get the humans off of their back. Very interesting. I wasn't feeling it.
The running time of this film is genuinely shocking, not just because of how it runs, but actually how the plotting works. When we got to the end of the second hour of this film, after they rescued Jake, and then he has his Abraham and Isaac moment with Spider, I genuinely thought the film was over. And it should have been over. I thought that was a legitimate climax for this film. But instead, they added another 1 hour of rehashing everything they had already done in Way of Water, including a whale tribunal. What's going on? Where's the discipline? Where's the editor? Where's the studio?
I hope that all perfectionists around the world look at this film series and understand that this is evidence that your perfectionism will not be rewarded with money. This is a prime example of how actually average work can be very, very financially successful. I don't think that this is a good film. I don't think this is a good film series. I think we just need to wrap it up now. James Cameron, it's enough. I can't believe this is the way how you're going to go out career-wise. Like, I'm just over it. Thanks for going deep with us. Like us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you're streaming this from.
Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you next time.